All right, you guys. Well, Karen says we have a quorum, so we can get going here. Hi, Bruce. Hi, Blake. Um, Thanks for being here. Okay, so have a quorum. Let's see if we can have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Ted just shared there's no treasurer's report. There hasn't been any spending. So
I'll make that motion.
Oh, thank you, Jeff Bloom. There a second, we got a Ted Key. Any negatives?
I hope I get a vote.
See no negatives. Okay, let's keep it going. I do not see anybody from the sheriff's. Oh, there's Commander Boss. One sec. Hi, Commander Boss.
Hello.
Hey, we were just moving on to you, so welcome.
All right, perfect timing.
Yes, yeah, go ahead. Thanks for being here.
No problem. So looking at our call statistics for the month of September, we had a total of 303 calls, up just a little bit from 292 last year during the same time. Of note were 19 preventative patrol activities, 18 enforcement stops, and 14 suspicious circumstances calls for service. Don't have anything else really specific to the North Coast. Just wanted to add that in the next 3 weeks or so, the sheriff's office will be opening our joint emergency communications center with Cal Fire. That facility is going to be located in Templeton and will be providing services to the unincorporated areas, as well as continued support for Arroyo Grande Police Department, Morro Bay Police Department, and Grover Beach Police Department in cooperation with Cal Fire. So that facility is going to be much larger and will greatly expand our capacity and hopefully our staffing in the future for emergency communication services. So that's all I have, unless anyone has anything for me.
I guess I just have a question about that, like off the top of your head. Are
Sure.
there any like potential positive impacts that you see happening for Cambria or our kind of stretch of the coast?
And so what it's going to do generally is it's going to provide for potentially, again, with the, additional staffing, which I know during some of the recent holiday seasons, the staffing was a concern of the ability to get through to sheriff's dispatch in order to get law enforcement response. That's going to be one of the biggest things. It has state-of-the-art equipment that we're hoping is going to allure additional staffing and help recruitment in our communication center. That again will enhance call taking and ultimately call dispatching for all areas of the county, including the North Coast.
Very cool. Okay, well, thank you. I don't see any other questions, so appreciate you joining us.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and then you guys saw the Commander Januso's CHP report. It's attached, and then I double sent the email, so hopefully you guys saw that and have a look at those numbers, because I feel like it's always nice to acknowledge the positive. And now let me see we have iPhone entering the waiting room. We'll let them in. Okay, Chief Berkey, do you want to accept your fate on the front of this agenda and give us your report?
Wow, I don't know what that means, but yeah, I'll accept my fate. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Christina, for bumping me up a little bit. It definitely is exciting to be at the front of the meeting this time. That's amazing. So, just to jump into it. So for my fire chief's report for September of 2025, we had a total of 96 incidents, 5 false alarms, 33 public service assists, 2 hazardous conditions, 55 medical emergencies, and 1 fire. And then down for comparison information. So we ran 61 of our, we responded to 61 of our residents, and we had 19 non-resident responses. For September of 2024, we had 78 for comparison, total incidents. And then also for okay. So, and then for the year to date of 2025, we have 823, and the year to date for 2024 was 732. So for the training at our department for the month of September, we really focused on confined space awareness and structural collapse scenarios, and then also pediatric emergencies. So those are just different scenarios and types of training that they went through throughout the month. For our public education, I was really excited to see that those neighborhood liaison group doing such a great job at kind of taking what we started and running with it in the way of those emergency alert signups that were being done at the library. I feel like they, even though they were small, they were very successful, and we were able to help some of the citizens sign up that wouldn't have otherwise been able to do so on their own. So that's exactly what those are meant to do. And so spread the word. I think I would imagine they're going to be doing more of those soon coming up. We also have some more liaison meetings coming up in the month of October and into November. So keep an eye out for those if you're in your neighborhood, and please try and attend those if you haven't attended one already. I wanted to mention also for our public interaction with the county. So I always like to mention that our department isn't just involved in what's going on in Cambria. We're also involved in what's going on with the rest of the county. I attended the San Luis Obispo County EMSA wildfire tabletop. And so what that scenario was essentially a lot of different entities throughout the county, not only fire departments or law enforcement, but also hospitals, convalescent home administration personnel were all there to kind of come to see what their interaction would be in a wildfire if there was an evacuation necessary in those types of areas or with those types of facilities, and what their roles were. And it was a really good kind of an overall view of what a scenario like that would look like. And so we were involved in it. I thought it went really well. There was a lot of good information that came from it. And again, there was a lot of different participating agencies from all over the county that was really impressive to see. So. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about with the public interaction and education was the boil water notice that went out in September. So I don't know if many of you were affected by it, but if you were, hopefully you were able to get those alerts. If you didn't get the alert, please make sure you're signed up on the appropriate platforms. And I thought it went really well, and I thought there was a lot of learning on our end, on the CCSD's part of it and the fire department's part of it. And it was a perfect kind of, I don't want to say, I mean, it was basically a non-emergency type, let's see how this is going to go. And we worked really well, and we interacted really well with the county Office of Emergency Services. And so I thought that whole process went relatively well. So I'm open to any questions on that for sure. Just finishing up really quick, we had for public service, we had 4 business inspections, 4 defensible space and residential inspections, and then 3 smoke detector changes. So that just concludes my report. I'm open to any questions.
Looks like you don't have any questions tonight. You're off.
Look
I know. Look at that. See?
What
That's
happens?
what happens when you accept your fate.
I accept it. Yeah. And all the responsibility that comes with it.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we are moving on to public comment, and I have a hand up from Ted Key. Do you want to go ahead, Ted?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hope all our membership and those I sent emails to have read my California Energy Commission public comment document, which addresses many of the issues with offshore wind here and better solutions for all of us, both on the Central Coast and statewide. And briefly, I need to address Mr. Gibson's comment on scanning from our last meeting. I did some research as I work with one of the central parties involved with the scanning for Diablo Canyon. As it turns out, it was Surfrider that gave him the most grief back then. His comment was that scanners at the time were different than those today, and that the scanning for this offshore wind site was 24/7 for weeks. In the end, though, sonar is sonar, and in this case, the Independent Commercial Fishermen Association reported 50 to 60% less catch in that area during the site scans. The shrimp population, already struggling, continues to do so. The fishermen's lawsuit against the Coastal Commission is based on the fact that the normal pre-scanning baseline study was bypassed and the site scanning proceeded without it. Thus, no data could actually be delivered regarding the effects of such an intense duration of scanning. Now, you can say phooey to the fishermen, but there is rising concern for ocean noise pollution with a number of studies underway by several scientific groups. Even the turbine manufacturers acknowledge noise problems and are working on eliminating hum and vibration transmission to the sea. As the pile drivers in the North Sea off of England hammered excruciatingly loudly and relentlessly, the mammal strandings over tripled into the thousands. Many wrote this off to climate change and a singular event phenomena. However, the same thing happened off our East Coast. Coincidence? You be the judge. It is concerning that NOAA refused to do ear necropsies on these animals. There will be the same noise factor for the nearshore substations here. I expressed my other concerns in my email and Supervisor Gibson in answer to your question regarding how much time do we want you to focus on this issue. My answer is the same as it was a year ago when I delivered public comment regarding the currently tardy Mott-McDonald effect study, which has done zero of the required public comment, and that is little to none. From all the information I've given, it's clear that this is not a good way to spend our tax dollars as opposed to solar and fourth-generation nuclear solutions that will actually meet our statewide needs, especially given the AI centers and growing EV use. Supervisor, as you retire from elected service, please have the courage to simply say that in review of this project, your conclusion is that the money is better spent on other more immediate, cost-conscious, and less environmentally impactful solutions for our state to reach net zero by 2050. My commentary on this issue will be on pause for the moment, and I welcome anyone with interest in further discussion to please contact me directly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Okay, any other public comment? I don't see any hands up. All right, well, Blake and Bruce, who wants to go first? You want to go?
Well, let me, Mr. Fixer and I had an extensive staff meeting of probably 90 to 110 seconds this morning. And I will turn the floor over to Blake for a moment.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. It's with somewhat heavy heart, but also a little bit of optimism that I'm announcing to this council that I've accepted a new position within SLO County. It was always, I think, understood that my current job with the supervisor would have an inevitable sunset date when his term ended. And Bruce and I have had a lot of positive conversations about what I might do in my post-Gibson career. A really good opportunity came up that I applied for and ended up being the selected candidate. I recognize it's a bit earlier than I think either Bruce or I have maybe anticipated or thought, but I'm really excited. It's been just an amazing couple years working with the public, with councils such as yourself. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate all of you guys. I'm not out the door just yet. We're going to work on kind of a phasing transition in the new role. So I'll be hanging on for another couple months. But if I'm not as responsive as I normally am, it's because I'm cross-training in the new position. And so I just appreciate everyone's patience as we figure out what that transition looks like. So that's kind of it. That's the announcement. Just wanted to let everybody know that I've worked with many of you for a number of years, and I'm not disappearing. I'm not retiring. I'm just taking a different job.
Yeah, if you retire at age 30, whatever, man, I've somehow seriously blown my life plan. I'm telling you. Let me excuse me for that. Let me tell you that first of all, Blake says he's worked for you a couple of years. it's going to be close to 7 when Blake moves on. And over the last couple of years, he and I have had a series of discussions about what comes next, not knowing exactly when my tenure would end. But I can tell you that the county organization is going to be extremely lucky to retain the services of Mr. Fixler. He's going into a place in the Human Resources Department where he'll get dug in on some of the core financial issues that the county deals with day to day, fundamentally providing great information for the board, however constituted, to figure that out. So once I formally announced toward the end of May that wasn't going to run in 26, we've had it high on the list to make sure Blake lands well. We'll be rolling out the succession plan. As I say, Blake will sort of phase into full-time. It is by the first of the year, Blake will be full-time. At this point, I guess I can announce that part of this transition will involve bringing back somebody, specifically Blake's predecessor, one Ms. Sherry Gibson. She'll be coming on half-time and covering the bases there. And as we get fully into Blake's transition, we'll figure out how we fully staff the now called chief, used to be called legislative assistant, now called chief of staff, all the way through 2026. So just wanted to give you all a heads up, and we'll make sure that we do a smooth transition. Blake will be sending out an email. We're gonna adjust the communication channels a bit, but I think that'll make for a seamless transition. So there's that. The only, I don't have a lot of Cambria specific items. One of them is Ramsey, and we are continuing to make sure that our code enforcement coordinates with the sheriff and Chief Berkey. There is a bout of due process. We have made sure that our office understands the long history of a variety of serial code violations on this site. I explored with code enforcement exactly how we take the most aggressive stance possible, consistent with proper due process. And I think we've got a good game plan. There is a provision at a point of being able to go to court for an order that would really up our ability. But again, we have to work through all those things. And so we're here on the status quo. We'll keep you updated as things progress. And then the only other thing, Blake advised me that you were interested in how much sales tax, excuse me, my allergies are kicking up, how much sales tax Cambria generates. And the word I got back through Blake, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Cambria generates about 1.22% of the sales tax that's generated in the county that stays in the county. And there's a little bit of complexity. The 7.25% that is charged in Cambria, of that 6% of the 6 of that 7.25 goes to the state, and 1.25 goes to various local agencies. If you then look at the total sales tax generated in the county, including in our cities, that's a total of about $464 million a year. So the net generation in Cambria is about 5.6, something like that, $1 million a year. So hope that puts that in perspective, and we're happy to follow up with any questions that anybody might have. Other than that, nothing, can go into reorganizations and housing incentive programs and anything else folks are interested in, but that's all sort of general county stuff. So Madam Chair, I'll remain available for your questions.
Can I just say thank you?
Thanks, Katie. Matthew, you have your hand up. Oh, wait, but before you go, because I feel like it's like Blake made his announcement and now we're business as usual, and that's fine, but Blake's one of my favorite people on the planet. So I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done for us and continue to do. And then we'll go to questions. So thank you. Matt, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll just follow up, and this is directed at Blake and Bruce as well. Thank you both, and Blake, thank you for what you've done for our community. Your line of communications and your ability to communicate with us, funneling things up the chain, and your openness to communication has really helped us in various different capacities over the last couple of years as during my tenure. So I'm super excited for you. Congratulations. And anybody's lucky to have you. So thank you for everything. And hopefully we get to see you at least a couple more meetings before you move on to bigger and better things. But I thank you both.
Yeah, my pleasure. It'd be kind of weird if I showed up in November and was like, oh, I'm leaving by. So I want to just, it's a little early, but just to give a little bit of an offering. But thank you for the kind words, sir.
Jeff Bloom, you want to go ahead?
Yes. So I think I understood the answer, Supervisor Gibson. So you're saying of the 464 million total that the county keeps, Cambria is responsible for about 5.6 million of that? Is that what I heard you say?
464 that comes into within San Luis Obispo County. That includes sales tax generated in cities, which stays in cities.
Right.
And I don't have that exact breakdown. Cities, it's a long and wonky thing, but given a number of decisions made at the state level, cities are incentivized to do big box retail kinds of things and other sales tax generators. So a goodly chunk of that 464 is generated in cities, stays in cities. Exactly how much, but anyway, of the total, 1.22% is Cambria generated.
Okay.
Meaning by my calculation, 5.6.
Okay, and okay. That's what I thought you said, but I just wanted to be absolutely clear. Kermit, who had some interest in that's not here tonight, so I'm sure he may have subsequent questions about it. I think what's brought it up is just the notion that somehow we're not getting enough of it back to Cambria in one form or another, and that's of course a lot more complicated question. But the starting point was, how much are we even talking about total?
Sure.
It also, I think, will end up useful for the transportation measure that SLOCOG is thinking about again. When you try to explain to people how that money gets spent and used and applied compared to what is already being generated in Cambria. So thank you for helping with that.
And just a little bit more background, the whatever sales tax revenue comes to the county goes into our what's called non-departmental revenue, which means the board has wide discretion on how we spend that money. It's general fund money that could be spent on roads or whatever, pretty close to whatever we choose to do. In terms of the potential transportation, it would be a half-cent sales tax increase to be applied countywide. The exact nature of how that gets spent, how it gets distributed between cities and the unincorporated areas and regions is yet to be determined, but all of that would be framed out and available as information when the voters are asked to consider it. So more to come on that.
Yeah, that's great, and I appreciate the effort to get at it. I know it took a little, but I too just wanted to thank Blake for putting up with me listening to all my crazy questions over the last couple of years, and he's done an awesome job, and I think it's great that the county's able to retain somebody as skilled as he is. So Blake, good luck.
Thanks, Jeff. Brian, do you want to go ahead?
I just wanted to thank Blake again for the years of service. I've been involved in a number of those, and thank you, Blake, and best wishes for the future.
Much appreciated. Thank you. Yeah. It's been my pleasure. It's been an experience. Sometimes better than others, some days better than others, but it's been a really
Wait a
fun.
minyou told me that every day was just a
Better than the last, which means the beginning was
Okay,
not.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You all know I couldn't do my job without him, so we better figure out a transition plan here pretty quick.
Oh, well, thank you both. Bruce, I have a random question for you, and I haven't done any research. This was just like hearsay. Did the Board of Supervisors vote on something that would have to do with like the appeals process for?
Yeah, we brought so Supervisor Moreno, in last time we talked about either planning department priorities or our fee schedule, noted that to file an appeal of a project, get it before the board in the inland areas outside of the coastal zone costs $850. And if the appeal is inside the coastal zone, that appeal fee is waived. And she looked and asked planning about, how many hours of work they do. And of course, $850 doesn't come close to covering the amount of effort they have to do to prepare materials for the board to consider. And she was particularly questioning why in the coastal zone do you let people do this for free? And so they made an effort to try to raise the appeal fee to more cover costs. This was a couple meetings ago. What ended up happening, the reason that appeals in the coastal zone are free is that if the county were to charge any appeal fee, then the appellants would have the option of saying, we're not going to appeal it to the county. We're going to go ahead and appeal it directly to the Coastal Commission. The Coastal Commission would take jurisdiction over it. If we don't charge a fee, then the appeal comes to the Board of Supervisors first. And then if there is a project approved, it can be appealed to the Coastal Commission. So I made the argument that ended up getting 3 votes that, this is really important for us to retain our authority. The Coastal Supervisors voted to retain the board's authority, even though it costs the taxpayers money in that we get no cost recovery in the coastal zone. It's important for us to be able to waive in. In the inland areas, we went ahead and raised it to $2,000 up from $850, still not full cost recovery. I'm fine with that. That's not an unreasonable fee for that. And those fees will go into place start of the calendar year, I believe.
All right, thank you for that. Very clear assessment. Does anybody have anything else for these two? Okay, I don't see any hands up, so thank you guys. I don't know if you guys want to stick around. We have two more things before land use.
Yeah, maybe for a minute, but we'll if I drop off, I'll catch up with you later.
All right, thank you both. Thank you. And Blake, yes, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm not out. I'm not gone just yet.
I know.
Guys, I'm still here.
Let's see. We have David Pearson. Do you want to share anything with us? Fire Safe Focus?
Yeah, just briefly, the Fire Safe Council met today and reviewed a lot of the projects that are ongoing. There's a lot of work going on up by Pico Creek on the Hearst property, taking care of the Monterey Forest up there, that spot, making it a healthier forest and doing a lot of work on getting rid of the dead and dying trees and that kind of thing. There's also work that has finished now in the Lemert area, and there's still 4 or 5 properties up there that we have not been able to do, but we have requested money on the next grant cycle to take care of the rest of the properties, larger properties in the Lemert area. So you may see that happening next summer. Other than that, I really don't have anything. Tomorrow is chipping day. Again, if you want to get signed up for chipping, you go out to the Fire Safe Council website and sign up for chipping. And the next day that we have, once we get enough people signed up, we'll go ahead and schedule a day and have it done. But tomorrow is the scheduled day. If you haven't signed up already, you're probably too late. So we have 18 people who did sign up and have their stuff out. So that's all good. Getting rid of the fuel.
That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, you guys are so on top of it. We actually have in our land use portion, one of the applicants is in one of the areas that you guys have been working on, and they were like raving about the work that you're doing. So yeah,
Great.
thank you. It looks like Jeff Bloom has something for you.
Dave, I represent the area that's plunked in the middle of Lamert. So I know for the residents on my street and the surrounding streets, the area south of Buckley, or north of Highway 1 and south of Cambria Pines Road, what was the original ranch? There's along the edges, there's a lot of dead standing trees and all. Is that one of the areas that would be picked up in a future project? I mean, I did see the chief had mentioned how great it was north of Cambria Pines Road, and that was really impressive how much was thinned out and reduced. But I think the neighborhood concern is really strong when you get over in the newer parts of Lamert that are more southerly, I guess, of where you had worked, southerly and westerly.
Yes, yes, those other areas are part of the grant project that was submitted, and we'll find out if that grant got approved probably in December.
Okay, so that is one of the areas included, because
Yes.
I'd like to let a few of the immediate neighbors know. They're the ones who are right up against it along that edge. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Chris, you want to go? And you are muted.
There we go. Sorry. Hi, David. I'm
Hi.
in the Pine Knolls neighborhood, and one of my neighbors, I think, had attended a fire safe meeting after the neighborhood meetings convened last spring. And he was told at the time that there would be some substantial work happening behind Hillcrest as it abuts Covell Ranch. And I just want to know if there's any updates on that work. There's a lot of dead stuff between our property line and where the bigger part of Covell Ranch is. There's a big ravine and it's just kind of full of stuff. I know there was a fire line broken on the other side of it, but that area in between the fire line and where our homes are is in pretty bad shape. And I think my neighbors are concerned.
Okay, I'm not sure of the area that you're speaking of, so if you could, Chris, if you could send me an email with your address or the address of your neighbors that are abutting this, then I can look up the areas and I can look at whether those are in the next cycle or whether we're planning on getting that stuff done now, because the work on Covell is ongoing now. I think we still have people going out there. So
Okay.
if you can send me that, a couple of addresses along the line that you're talking about, then I can ask about it.
Will do. Thank you,
I'll
Dave.
get back to you. Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other hands up. So thank you, David, for being here.
Sure.
And yeah, as always, all the work that you're doing. So thank you. Thank you. And we will move on. Claudia, are you around? I know you have a couple things to share with us. Hi, and you're muted.
I got it. Okay, now, hi. Yes, thank you. And I have a couple of things. One, I'll just get it over really quickly. We've been having some issues with this. I'm saying this because I'm the president of Beautify Cambria and the co-chair of our Dark Sky Initiative. We have an event coming up, which I'll talk to you about in a minute or two. But we're involved in night lighting, and it's been drawn to our attention more than once that the code enforcement is not doing their job. That they're not, well, one, they won't go out and look at it. And even when you send pictures with evidence that there is light trespass and that the lights are not shielded, they still seem to think that there's not a problem. And Bruce is still on the line, it looks like, and I probably should have come on when he was talking and asked him about this, because it's just, I can't tell you how frustrating it is and how unprofessional it is for the code enforcers to not enforce the code. We are in the process, I've been working with one of the planners and updating, let's say, the current lighting code. They call it de minimis, which means like a very tiny improvements, but they're going to take out the reference to 150 watt light bulbs. And well, the problem with this is that if you put out a 150 watt LED light, it would be like shining about 4 of those big, wall packs. It's a tremendous amount of light. The lights that we recommend are like 2700 Kelvin, which is kind of a warm white, and only 7 watts. So you can imagine 150 versus 7 is a huge amount of light. And at the time that code was written back in 1992, there were no LED lights. And so, it just wasn't part of it. The lighting code is so antiquated just in general because it's so old. But that's the worst problem, is because it makes it difficult for the code enforcers to enforce, because on one hand it says you must have shielded light, and then it says except for it's 150 watts. Well, it doesn't make any sense. So that's going to be taken out. I think they're going to try to work on that, get that done in January, the first part of the year is what I was told. And then we have a couple of other things. One of them's indoor lights, because indoor lights can shine out and trespass onto other people's property just as much as outdoor lights can if they're unshielded. And some people have these really, really bright, like chandeliers that have many lights in them, and I have one 2 streets over from me, and it shines into my living room. So, so a few things like that hopefully be able to change on the lighting code. And that will help us to make it easier for the code enforcers, but the code enforcers are not enforcing the code. And so this is an issue that I have no idea how to fix it. We can complain, and that's what I'm doing. So then the other thing I want to talk about is our Dark Sky event. And I think I need to send the posters to you. You can post it on the NCAC website, but we've posted them all around town. We're in the process of putting them again on social media, but we are very, very excited about this particular Dark Sky event. It's coming up on Saturday, November 1st, and from 6 to 8:30 at the Catholic Church Parish Hall. And then the telescopes will be outdoors. So we'll have, I don't know, anywhere between 4 and 6 semi-professional people with telescopes. And then we are very excited to have the Cal Poly Astronomical Society coming with telescopes. We've had them come, we've never had them come with telescopes. So I had the good fortune to meet a young man who's in the club and kind of made friends with him. And so we're really excited that he has rounded up some people from their club to come and bring telescopes and share them. And so I want people to know this, because I think it's really important for young people to know this, so that they can come and talk to somebody who's maybe not much older than they are that's involved in this. Most of the, I guess all of the members of the astronomy club at Cal Poly are other than astronomy majors, because there is no astronomy major at Cal Poly. There's a minor. So most of them are physics majors. That's probably number one, then math and engineering, and then the other things mixed up. So that's really exciting. The speaker we have, if you've heard of the Rubin telescope down in Peru, it is an amazing accomplishment. And the speaker that's coming, her company, the owner of that, has been working on this for 20 years, and it finally came online June 23rd. And so we're going to have a person she's kind of his right-hand person, is going to come and talk to us all about the inside scoop on this particular telescope. And we're going to find out what dark matter is, and black holes, and all kinds of things we could never see before. The camera on this thing is the largest in the world. you know how tall I am, I'm not very tall, 5 feet. So that the lens is 5 feet, or, across diameter, and it weighs 3 tons. So this is a big camera, and it's getting big pictures. And the guys will like that because the guys like big pictures. And they're seeing things already. They're seeing asteroids they never saw before, and galaxies that never thought were connected or connected. And so anyway, so it's very exciting. So I'm really happy to have Dr. Sandy Seal come from Santa Barbara, and then the other speakers coming from NASA's JPL, and he worked on rovers. There's lots of things, we have telescopes, we have speakers, we have site auction, we have all these things. And I want to give a big pitch for it because we're trying to be a dark sky community. And the reason why we do this is to educate people about the importance of keeping the skies dark. Somebody told me that they referred to me as, oh, that dark sky lady. And I went, yeah, I like being the dark sky lady. And I like intimidating people. No, I don't like intimidating people, but I do like asking people nicely. And by the way, I have a neighbor who's finally turned his light off, and I'm very pleased. So thank you very much for doing that. I don't know if it's a mistake or not. Maybe I shouldn't say anything, but thank you. It shines right up into my house. So I guess it's one of those things. But I'm finding that more and more people are turning their lights off or shining them towards the ground. And so, after 10 years of working on this, we're pleased to see that we're making some progress. So all of those, if you who are members of the NCAC and the people who are listening in, please think about this. I'll leave you with this one. I recently did the butterfly ball. We had a booth there, and I learned, I always do research. I did some research, found out that if you leave your porch light on and you have a monarch that happens to be resting near there, that it will decrease their amount of rest. And if they don't have enough rest, they can't get to the next spot. And most of you know that monarchs, they go from Canada to Mexico, and they do it in about 4 or 5 generations. So if you decrease their ability to get to the next spot, you're decreasing the amount of butterflies that we have. The number of butterflies is like 1/10 of what it was the year before. I mean, it's really, really critical right now. And I truly believe that the worst problem we're having with our migrating butterflies and with other night night animals is that there's too much light for them, even in the Central Coast. So anyway, come to my event or our event. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to look on our website or call me at 1934. If you've been around for a while, you know what that is, 1934. And I'm happy to talk with you about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. And I'll send the flyer out when I send the YouTube link to everyone, and then we'll figure out a place for it to go on the site. Yeah. So, and I'm sure everybody here will be happy to share. So thank you.
And one last thing. I've written 3 articles in Chris Fox's a newspaper, and the 3rd one is coming out tomorrow. And or unless you're really up late tonight, it might come out late tonight. And so I'm really pleased I'm happy with the articles. They're interesting, and they're a little bit more than just about the event. They're about things that are related to the event. So anyway, so enjoy those. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia, and thank you for all the work that you continue to do for Cambria. Seriously appreciated. So thanks. Okay, so you guys, question and a change from the past 2 months. We are ready for land use. So we have land use and we have CCSD, and I think Jen Lawson is going to update us on a little something. No, yeah, maybe that her and Kermit went to at Slow Cog. So we have a couple things. Karen Chrisman, you want to tell me when you feel like having a break? Do you want to do it now and then we do land use and get through it, or no? Oops, you're muted. Shoot, sorry. Still muted. Let me unmute. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
What? I'm so sorry. You'd think I'd have this down by now. I could get through land use without a break.
All right, everyone. Let's do it then.
Thank you. And I apologize for
No, you're good.
a techno dweeb.
What did it take me, like almost a year to figure out how to do the vote on the consent agenda? All right, so let's see. Here we go. Am I where I'm? Okay. I have too much open on my screen. Let me close that out. All right, perfect. So, 6730 Catherine Drive. This would be new development in Cambria. This is part of the set of parcels, that were, kind of divided, and all of the drama that you may or may not have heard about with Haiti and Bookout, Coastal Commission denying, their development, and, the court's ruling, okay, let's see. Oh, I think the applicant just joined. Overruling the Coastal Commission. And so, this is a project that has been in the works for a really long time. And, the hope is that now they will get to, move forward with their development. I would say the thing that, I've run into with people, what people haven't realized is that, like, this is already made, that this set of parcels and their water meters has kind of already made its way through the court process, right? So what we're evaluating today is not like water use, or are they getting a water meter? They already have a water meter. It's really just on the merits of the project itself, but, land use. Let's see, Brian's coming back. Land use ordinances. So, they are requesting to develop a 2,759 square foot residence with an attached 2,062 square foot garage. If that sounds weird to you, like it did to us, early on, it's because the design of the home is really like a large, it almost looks like a barn, which you will see, as we move forward. This is on a 9-acre lot, and they are designing around the trees on site, and even have moved, where the driveway would kind of normally be to accommodate, to save a tree. So next page. So you'll kind of see here the overview, where Cambria Pines Road is, where Catherine Drive is, and that in the yellow is the parcel. And the arrow's kind of pointing, I mean, is generally towards where they're looking to build their home. Okay, let's see, next slide. So this kind of should give you a better idea of, how that garage kind of intermixes with the home. This is a single story, structure. And then, and you can see that tree kind of down there by the driveway that they're preserving. Okay. Next slide. Just more on the home, because I know some people had questions about the size of the garage. And so this is kind of giving you, again, just a different look at the floor plan. Okay, and then moving on. So you can see here, the garage from the front and how that kind of blends with the home, the rest of the home. So it's all a single structure. And then here's another view, just because I know a lot of people had questions. And next, you'll see a view towards Cambria Pines Road and a view towards Catherine Drive. And let's see what else. So I met on site with, Ted Key, Steve from the Land Use Committee. Let's see, Matthew from CCSD joined us, and then online, a group of us have gone back and forth about just different things and getting certain questions answered, and we are recommending a vote of approval. That's our recommendation. We think it's a nice example of site-sensitive design and avoiding trees, and Dane's here for any technical questions. I'm here for any land use, NCAC questions, and looks like Ted has his hand up.
Yeah, I visited the site. Everything looked to be quite good to me. I mean, everything added up as far as the design drawings, and I was very pleased that they decided to make sure that they were keeping all the trees. This is a pretty straightforward project, and with water off the table, I would move that we approve this project.
Well, I'll second it. I don't want it to die.
You're muted, Christina.
All right, thank you, Karen. All right, any negatives? No, okay, well, I'm very happy about this approval, so thank you guys, and thank you for everyone who went back and forth a gazillion times over email about this project. Okay. Oh, Claudia, is your hand up? Or,
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I didn't see the drawing quick enough, but what direction do the garages face? Do they face the street or?
no, they face, if you back, oh, could you go back a slide to Cambria Pines? They face Cambria Pines Road, and Dane, correct me if I'm wrong. But they are on the northern side of the property, so they're probably like 4, I'm generalizing, maybe 5 acres from Cambria Pines Road.
Okay, because the CCNRs say that the garages may not face the road.
What do you mean by that?
The Lamert CCNRs say that your garages cannot face the road. They cannot face like Cambria Pines Road or Catherine Road. They cannot face the street. They have to be on the
Yeah.
side and not to be visible from people driving down the street. Not
Well,
even
so
set back.
Cambria Pines Road is shielded along Cambria Pines Road, like it doesn't, and it's like 5 acres in. Dane, do you want to jump in on that?
I think if Ryan, excuse me, Mr. Brodersma appears to be on this call, maybe the property owner can respond to that one. I'll pull up the plans and confirm though in the meantime.
Well, I don't really know if it's appropriate for him to have to wait in on ordinances. But do you want to check on that and then we can keep, and I'll go with Jeff Bloom? All right, Jeff, you want to go ahead? And you're muted.
Not to further confuse things, but I think what Claudia is referring to is these subdivisions in Lamert all had covenants and restrictions when they were originally subdivided. My understanding from reviewing them and from working on them previously when we were discussing camping and some other issues is they may have expired, that they had a limited outside lifetime that we're now well beyond. So I think it's more about the aesthetics. And if my understanding of the siting of the building is correct, we're several hundred feet away from Cambria Pines Road. So I'm not sure, at least for me, it doesn't give me much heartburn. It's not like you're going to be looking right into somebody's garage unobstructed. And I think there's, again, if I'm understanding the siting correctly, there's trees close to Cambria Pines Road that are going to disrupt the view from Cambria Pines Road looking back. And they seem to have backed it up to the tree line. So that helps it kind of blend into the background. I think for people who aren't real familiar with it, Catherine almost looks like a private street when it gets to the north of Cambria Pines Road. And this is well back in to the left side. There's actually some homes that were built earlier before all the water restrictions and that are kind of spotty back up into that neighborhood, if you will. It really doesn't feels like a bunch of ranches or parts of ranches, which is what it was intended. It had the largest lots of the original Lamert Ranch subdivisions.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, I know Dane, you have your hand up, but yes, Jeff, you're absolutely correct. Catherine does almost appear to be like a private road. And then the location of that they're proposing to build this is literally as far in and over from both roadways as you could possibly reasonably develop. And Cambria Pines Road is lined with trees. I feel like I'm pretty thorough and we went through this and all these ordinances. Well, I'd be surprised if we missed something, but Dane, can you jump in on that?
I don't recall reading any track conditions on the recorded map related to the direction of the garage. I can go back and look. The garage is faced south away from Catherine Drive. That's what I've got.
Okay, so why don't we do this? If we'll
That was
move
the-
forward with the approval with the note when I submit it to you to just double check on what Claudia's mentioned.
That sounds like a great idea.
Feel good?
Yeah. And
Okay.
if there is a check condition as such, it may just be noted in the staff report too.
Okay, cool.
So we'll see.
Okay, thank you, Dane. All right, so we are going to move on, I believe, to incidental camping. Is that where we're at? Okay, yes. So 1590, is this gonna be Alapay Way? If I'm pronouncing it correctly?
You got it. And if I could do a little background on this one, so everyone
please.
understands.
Yes, please.
There's an ordinance, incidental camping, in the camping and rural recreation, Title 23 section. It's a thing, and you can submit application for it. You can pay fees, and have the department refer it out to external agencies for review, refer it to your council for review, and obviously we do our own review. It's currently on info hold now, and I would recommend basing the approval tonight on, what's been submitted. After a phone call with the applicant, I'm not sure if the intent is to have a big giant commercial campground, or if it's more a temporary dwelling for security purposes while they work on their ag barn. But currently, as submitted, it would be a camping as a commercial use. The info hold is also online. I'll make sure it's publicly accessible too, if it isn't already.
I think you uploaded it, Dane, and then I shared it with everybody from the group who was weighing in. If you guys, Jeff, I know you have a question. Do you want me to work through this before you ask, or do you want to? Is it urgent? Oh, you're
You might
muted.
be muted.
Having spent an inordinate amount of time looking at the camping ordinances, I think it would be helpful, Dane, at the next meeting, assuming it's on information hold. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing anything with it tonight, but it would be helpful to walk us through as a group how it does or does not comply with the camping ordinances of the county. Because I think what certainly happened in our immediate neighborhood was Hip Camp was out there as a platform advertising places that never had any county approvals, and in many cases never could. But that didn't, that something everyone needs to know is a person's entitled to apply for something, even if it doesn't conform to the county codes. That we can't stop them from making the application. We can just deny the requests based on the code. So sometimes people get it in their mind that they're going to apply no matter what and fight it to the death. And it's like, more power to them. They're entitled to do that. But I would, for one, not feel comfortable taking any action on this without a careful review by you, perhaps, Dane, of how it conforms to the code that allows us to then do this, because it's very twisted. You have to go between Title 23 and Title 22 and jump around, and then the zoning itself of the property impacts directly how the code is applied and where it can be applied. So not a very simple process. And it was political enough that the county supervisors finally decided not to make it a priority to revise the ordinances and simplify it and change it. So it would be helpful to have a thorough review of the ordinance first before we try to decide what we think about it.
So do you guys want me to go through the report and then we can have this conversation once we look at the recommendations, which are based off of 9,000 emails about this? And then we can go from there, because I feel like we're jumping the shark and then I'm gonna have to cover stuff and everybody's gonna have to sit here while we repeat ourselves. Is that cool? Okay, so let's go back to the land use document, and I will continue through this. So this is the site. So everybody that's on here that hasn't been looking at this knows, in Harmony, west of Highway 1, 162 and some change acres. Okay, next slide. This gives you a better idea of where this would be located within the site. Next slide. And based off of what we've been discussing, the NCAC, if we voted yes, it would confirm the points and questions below. Is the proposed use genuinely supporting an existing ranch or farm? NCAC concerns around recreation disguised as agriculture. We agree with the info hold items the county requested. We don't really understand the intended use or the density. We're requesting re-review. And that at some point, if Dane could talk us through ag exempt structures and the process for conversion, because there was a lot of mention of the ag exempt structure within the application, but the application was only for camping. So we could cover that, I guess, when we re-review it. So is that, I mean, I feel like, does that make you happy, Jeff Bloom? And can we like move this along, do you guys think? And Dane, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I would. It seems like it's going this way. I'll leave the discretion up to you, Chair Galloway.
Okay.
Have the info hold letter, but I think maybe Jeff, if you want to just give me a call during work hours, would that be more appropriate? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you.
I think the group, the NCAC needs to understand some of the complexity of the ordinance first. Because the problem with these is this is typical of the ones that were illegally started here in Cambria or in our community area, and they did the exact same things. It never was clear what it was. They were using agricultural structures inappropriately as rentals. They were parking RVs and tent camping and starting fires, and none of it was even close to being consistent with the codes or the requirements. And then when it came to it, they couldn't meet any of the codes and requirements. So I think, and there were examples very similar to this one going on elsewhere in the county on ranch properties, viewed as a revenue source to help prop up the struggles of agriculture. But again, there was no showing of, at that time, no showing of what those problems were. It was just, oh yeah, we're struggling, so you should give us this. And it's just, the point of it was that it stressed law enforcement, it stressed fire, created fire risks, just by being what it was. And so I'm just real sensitive to it, and I know all my immediate neighbors are extremely sensitive to it because they think it'd be one of the ways that their neighborhood could get burned down. So I think it's having the code, understanding of the code first, then weigh in on, well, does this application satisfy it or not?
Well, I think that Dane has a pretty good understanding of the code, and I feel like his info hold is really thorough. So do we
That's fine then.
want to have him, like, we can revisit like the thing says when he gets more information about it, right? Is there like, am I?
No, I think
Can we do that?
the issue is we've promised him we would try to give him early feedback on things where we could. I think this is one of the ones where we can't.
Yes,
Because
yeah,
it's just too far out there.
we're attempting to do that, but I
understanding it.
do want to make the distinction that this is an agricultural property, which is different than rural residential or just residential. So it's not the same as like the hip camp on Main Street or, what was going on necessarily in your neighborhood. So I do think, yes, the codes are confusing. Yes, people do. Obviously, it's like the Wild West out here. They are willy-nilly, but like, I felt like it was a pretty thorough info hold and we should evaluate once he gets more information. Brian, you have a question or a comment?
It seems to me we're overcomplicating it. The real question is this an agricultural use of the property? as opposed to the hip camp things, which were pretty outright plans for commercial camping. This is really, is it an agricultural or not? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Brian. And I think we'll find out, right, Dane, when you get the info hold answered?
I believe it would fall in the rural recreation and education land use category group. So it's not a commercial use and it's not an agricultural use. It's in a recreation separate use group of its own. And it is an incidental use to a primary use of the property's been grazed for a very long time.
But what's it zoned?
Agriculture would be
Okay.
the land use category. And then the primary use right now would be grazing, an agricultural use. And then the proposed use would be incidental, subject to the conditions in the ordinance of allowing some folks to come and stay at a density that hasn't been defined, with utilities undefined currently in the application that could use a little baking. But
You're really saying it's an incomplete application?
until the info hold is lifted, every application is incomplete from my review.
Okay.
But I do want to say I appreciate your council putting this on the agenda, because I'll be able to send Mr. Bruinsma the minutes of this meeting, and hopefully it helps him make the application a little more or not. It'll be more information for the property owner to make decisions.
Thank you, Dane. Karen has her hand up.
So if I understand this correctly, and there's no guarantee that I do, if the info hold were lifted, there would be sufficient information to address what Jeff was talking about. Is that right? And we would be making, and so if we vote based on the land use recommendations, the property owner would be held to a proper use, and or am I right about that? I'm not saying that very well.
Well, I think, so our recommendations are really just notes based off of what we're looking to see before we make a final yes or no recommendation. So it's really just us agreeing that these are the things that we need to know in order to make a final recommendation.
Okay, so this is a preliminary yes. This is a
Yeah.
preliminary yes for all the other information we'd like to see before we make a final, before we vote finally on it. Is that right?
Yes, and so this way
Okay.
Dane has some feedback from us, so it's not like all of a sudden the application's accepted and these people think they're moving forward and we're like, well, wait, but why are you removing this? Or what do you mean? What about the fires? Or something like Jeff Bloom is
Yeah.
saying. It's like preliminary info, but I'm bringing it to the council because we have an X amount of time to do the referral, and because it's easier, for everybody to address certain things up front rather than, once something's already been accepted. So,
Well, I'm comfortable with taking a vote tonight with the understanding that it's a yes vote is just a preliminary.
yes, yeah, so that's perfect. You always say things perfectly and very clear. It's a preliminary vote. The next one that we're gonna review, and that'll be our final one, is going to be the same, because I feel like everything goes in cycles, and right now we're getting a lot of referrals with very little like key info in them, but we have to address them, and sometimes it's just helpful to have these conversations up front. So yeah, so with that being said, is anybody open for a motion on a preliminary vote on this project, understanding that we will not be making a formal yes or no recommendation until we have more information? And then I would
I
love
so
a-
move.
Thank you, Jen. Do I have a second? Let's see, and did we lose? We might have lost Brian
Well,
again.
I'll second it. I don't want it to, I'm the one who talked about it. I don't want it to die.
Do we have any negatives?
Yes.
You're a negative.
Yeah,
Well, why don't you just give your feedback so we can include it in the notes?
well, I don't want the applicant to have any notion that anything's been approved.
Well, it's not an approval, it's our notes. These are our recommendations. It's not an NCAC approval. But then we should take this offline and have that discussion because we're gonna do this month over month over month. And if
No, I think that, no, Christina, the way Karen characterized it, we're saying we might be okay to approve it once we see the additional information. Well, I'm saying no.
we're not, we are going to take a formal yes or no NCAC vote for recommendation or not recommendation once we have more information. Right now, we're just voting on what more information we want to see from the applicant or need to see in order to make an educated vote. That's all.
I agree with Jeff. It's
So-
too early to be making a recommendation one way or the other.
But we're not
We're
making
waiting-
a
we're waiting
recommendation,
on-
we're letting Dane know.
Information hold means exactly
let me
that.
give
We're
us-
waiting on information.
Let me give us a way out. Okay. What I'm used to doing in this situation is we continue our review of it pending the further information. That way we're not passing any judgment one way or the other. We're just saying, when you get it all together, we'll look at it again.
But I can't formally give Dane information on behalf of the NCAC unless we agree what information I'm asking him for.
Well, you continue it pending providing the additional information you had in your list.
That's
Plus
what we're doing.
whatever-
That's what we're voting to do. Is that not what we're voting to
You're-
do?
You don't need to vote.
For starters, you don't have to take any action, but that would be one way to get out of this. But
if we don't take action and we're outside of our 60 days to take action, then we've given up the right to take action. We get the referrals, we have 60 days.
Okay, if you see it that way, then my vote is going to remain no, because I don't want to have the NCAC perceived as somehow having endorsed this project.
So real quick, can I ask one question? Because again, with my experience with the NCAC, when it came to the water reclamation facility information hold, and a lot of other agencies, they would provide questions to me to address. And so that is what NCAC gets referred is what are your issues with this project? Those get applied to the information hold, and that is sent to the applicant. And Dane can jump in and confirm this or not. And when that gets sent to the applicant, then the applicant would have to respond to the NCAC with their concerns. So there is no, in my opinion, right, there is no approval by NCAC or any of the other info hold recipients. It would be, does NCAC have a response in regards to this project? And are those responses the additional information that you would like to see? So I hear both sides, but what I'm hearing Christina say and Jeff say is we're uncomfortable with where we are. So I think there needs to be a gathering of those questions and responses that need to be addressed, packaged, sent to Dane, which will get those questions to the applicant to address. And I'm guessing Dane needs to confirm or deny that.
I think right now, so from a code standpoint, this council is reviewing the project, which meets the requirement. But, as a good steward of projects, this one likely needs to be re-reviewed. But there's also an energy I'm sensing in this meeting that the camping should be discussed maybe a little further, and we get some notes on that. And then maybe the motion could be, maybe I'll help the council out with a motion once some folks get their energy out on camping in an agricultural on an agricultural parcel.
All right. Thank you, Dane, for that. Yes, there's some energy that needs to get out. Okay. Well, Claudia, okay, his hand was up. Ted Key, do you want to go ahead? Get the energy out. You're muted.
Sorry. I'm with Jeff and Brian on this one. I think we need to be very careful that we aren't tacitly approving anything other than we are approving the questions we have to add to the info hold. Now that to me makes sense. We could vote to say, make the motion that we approve of the questions that we have to add to the info hold that's going on. And when those questions are, so we will have completed our requirement to respond within the 60 days, but that we have not given any semblance of approval to the overall project because we just simply don't have enough information to do that.
Thank you. Am I not speaking English? Like, is there some confusion in how I'm communicating this, that all we're agreeing on is what we want to tell Dane that we need to see from the applicant to properly review this project? Is there something in what I'm saying that is
That
not?
language I'm okay with, Christina.
Okay,
The way you just characterized it.
okay.
I think
We're
Then-
not saying any-
the first motion was a preliminary approval. Now, I've been in this meeting and I understand that that's not what this council wants. So if I wrote it in this report now, it would be this council reviewed the project. Here are the minutes. You know, listen to the minutes if you would like, but no approval or denial, I wouldn't say. And maybe the motion could be updated to reflect that. That's all I'll say. I'll be quiet now.
Yes, no, you don't need to be quiet, but but at a certain point, we have to use the words yes and no in order to agree or not agree. And so if those words are causing confusion as to like whether we're approving a project or giving a semblance of approval, then so I just want to be clear, like we're just voting yes or no that we agree on the notes about what we need to see to actually approve this project or not approve this project. Like that's all. And we're gonna have this every single month because we're getting more and more applications every single month. So we need to get this figured out and on the same page. Otherwise, I don't know what we're doing here. Karen, your hand, oh, Claudia, did you want to go ahead? And you guys, we got to speed this up. So, and if we have to take.
Let me say quickly what I wrote for the minutes of this meeting is that Jen moved to vote with the understanding that it's not approval of the project. We're just agreeing with the recommendations that are clearly set out on this document. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to ask these guys, like, does that sound okay?
I would simplify it more, just that we're voting to forward those comments to Dane, and that's it.
Okay.
I would agree with Jeff that in the past, we have not done approval on a will hold meeting.
No,
We just send it
gonna
to
correct you, Brian,
the applicant.
That's
and
not
That's
correct.
it.
In the past, we have done plenty of approvals on info holds, even prior to my time at the NCAC. So I want to correct that. Additionally, that you guys would do approvals and then say, and we'll follow back up on this, and nothing would be followed back up on. So this is actually a step in the right direction of actually gathering the information prior to doing the approval. But to say that we didn't approve things with info hold, 70% of what Jeff Klosny and I used to go back and forth about it all the time. Then we tried to pressure the county, like, can you guys please not send us stuff on info hold because it makes it really confusing. And then we don't get, I mean, similar to what happened with the Sherwood site. So that's not correct. And we're trying to figure out a way to do it and be a part of the process the whole way through. And so that's why it looks like this. And maybe that's why it sounds different to people. Claudia, do you want to go ahead?
I just wanted to say that you don't really need to make a motion to make a recommendation. So but I think what you're
But we
doing.
do, because we have to agree on what
It's-
we're, what
But,
we need
what
to
you don't have to, but I think what you're doing makes it more official. And so just have to be really careful. And I like what was his name, Jeff Bloom. I like what he said. Just say we want you to take a look at these recommendations, leave it at that. So,
Our yes and no vote would be to forward the comments we have based on what has been submitted to be included in the information hold. Nothing
Okay.
more, nothing less.
Matthew, do you want to go ahead?
Begrudgingly, I will, saying, and I mean this in no disrespect, but we deal with this at our committee level, is that our committees make recommendations. And so perhaps, and it's up to you guys, there should be a vernacular change about the word approval. You are making recommendations based on the information that you have. You're going to recommend it based on the county's information that was sent to you, or you're not going to recommend it and clarify it with more information needed. But the term approvals has a finality to it, in which an advisory body doesn't really have any authority to approve. It's about recommending or not recommending. And we do that with our subcommittees as well. We bring projects forward as staff level, and our committees evaluate them, and then they make recommendations. And so there's this term that keeps moving around in terms of approve, approve, approve. And it's not really approving, it's whether or not you're going to recommend it moving forward. Because
Well, it's a recommendation of approval.
exactly. Yeah. So I think we get hung up on those terms, but I think you guys are on the right track. You guys are chopping it up and asking for further clarification on this item. And I think that's the way this body should work, and you're working through it. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Karen, Jen, do you want to restate your motion in the way that's more
Yes.
simplified?
Okay, I understand what y'all are saying about approval, but I saw those notes up and I just was approving that those notes would move forward to the applicant and that information would be discovered and answered before I was never going to approve anything like that. So please don't get me wrong. But yeah, I saw your notes on there and that's yep, we're gonna move those forward for Dane in the minutes for the applicant. Yes. So my motion is to move those notes forward. I don't know how else to
Thank
say
you,
that.
Jen. No,
Yeah.
all right. Do I
Sorry.
have a second on Jen's motion to move our agreed upon notes forward?
I'll second it again.
Okay. Do I still have negatives on moving our notes forward? Okay.
Were there negatives I didn't see? I was writing.
Are the heads shaking like negatives, or are the heads shaking positives? Like, somebody just shout out. Ted, I think you're still unmuted.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with how that's put
So
forth.
from here on out, when we are in this situation, we are only agreeing on what we are giving Dane, the notes we are giving Dane for the information that we require to determine our recommendation at a future.
I really think that should be the process.
Yes. Okay.
I
Okay.
thought it was the process. Oh, sorry.
You're unmuted. So.
Oh, that's funny.
So, okay, so we'll move on because we have one more of these where we are going to vote on the notes to give to Dane to bring us back more information to make an actual recommendation. So this project is a lot, so let's try to get through this. This is here in West Lodge Hill in Cambria, 1665 Berwick Drive. The request for a 1,332 square foot guest house and garage addition. This is detached to an existing approximately 2189 square foot single family residence. The project would result in the disturbance of the entire 9,400 square foot parcel and single family land use category. They are proposing 8 trees for removal. Again, this project is on info hold. So we're not, okay, let me go through. You can see the site here. That's Berwick, between Berwick Drive and Benson. It's located on Berwick Drive. If you see the open lot that has been merged with the lot that you see the structure with the red thing on, that is where they are proposing to build the detached garage and guest house. We can keep going. That's just a different view of it. And then if we keep going, this is just giving you an idea. You see on top is the existing site plan. The bottom is the proposed site plan in white on the bottom. You'll see what that proposed structure is. And you'll see kind of over to the right of that is where they're proposing like a laundry room, which adds like a different component of confusion to the project. And let's see in this square here where you see the, oh, okay, well, yeah, we can, well, there's a square here with like the car. The whole thing's a little confusing because it looks like it's sitting on a concrete pad, yada, yada. But then in the next slide, you'll see photos and it looks like there's like windows where that concrete pad just was. So needless to say, it's all very confusing. Let's see, do I have any other slides on here? Aside from, yeah, so super confusing. Dane's info hold is extremely thorough, more than I think we could have ever asked any planner to do or consider. Let's go to the NCAC recommendations, down. And again, his info hold covers a ton of questions. I know that the people who loosely had a look at this had a concern over the tree removals, as do I. The info hold also addresses that. We have additional concerns about the whole process of detached guest houses. Jeff Bloom and I went over that for quite some time. Just how are these restrictions recorded? How are they being enforced? I'm sure Matthew at the CCSD can weigh in on that because some of that's being pushed back towards the CCSD. And, so we're just kind of looking at this like, okay, it's detached. There's not a lot of information. The information that's there isn't consistent. Additionally, at what point does this become a guest house? The guest house becomes a rental and now somebody's doing laundry in that new laundry room that for whatever reason has the door to the outside. So we are requesting re-review and we are just confirming the notes here. If anybody has additional questions, throw them out, I'll add them. All we're saying is that we agree with the info hold items. We have concerns over trees, detached structures, how is that being addressed? It seems like code enforcement isn't doing the greatest job of things as of late. So who's really enforcing that? And we need all this information to review the project and make a formal recommendation to approve or not approve. Looks like Ted Key's hands up and Jeff Bloom, you guys. Ted, go ahead. Oop,
This looks like the same thing as we just did.
Yes.
We're just going to add these questions to the ones that are on info hold. And I'm not sure, perhaps Dane can answer this question. Why are we even looking at these things until the info holds or the info isn't there? I guess this is forcing us into a situation here, and I'm not sure why. And just one other thing, we get these drawings and we have to hope that they're going to build what's on the drawing. I mean, my experience on Nottingham is that what we saw on the drawing is nothing at all like what was built. So we really do have to take it on faith that what we see on drawings is what's actually going to happen. And so I just don't understand why we got this referral when there were so many questions outstanding. But if we must make a decision, then to me, it looks like a duplicate of what we just did. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted. And then Jeff, do you want to go, and maybe Dane can chime in if he wants? You're muted.
If you could go back to the exhibit that shows the property for a second, I just am confused when we talked about what was merged. Are we saying these original lots were merged, or is there another part of this ownership down here? I don't have a way to point, I guess.
Are you talking, so 023143042 contains the home, and then where you see the trees on the left side is the parcel that's recently been merged with, so this would have been two
denser
parcels.
trees? You mean with the denser trees?
Yes, the denser trees to the left if you're looking at your screen.
Okay, because you also further on, now if you go to your multiple images where it showed the site,
Yes.
This one, you have the right-hand upper image shows something about the green in green below it. Do they own that also, or?
Yeah, wait.
I'll just jump in here to clarify. If you look at that little map with the orange and green highlighted parcels on the APN parcel map, that's the existing property now. So it's a double fronting lot it's on the current address is on Berwick, but it fronts down to the west all the way, and it includes both of those vacant lots. So from a gross structural area standpoint, they have a bigger lot to work with.
Did they merge that green area into the lot that's in gold?
Yes. Yeah.
Dane, are you super sure on that?
Yeah, and if you look up the project on Land Use Viewer too, or GeoView is what I use, it highlights at least the parcel, or it highlights the ones that are shown in that little image.
I thought, because if we go to the other slide with the parcel map, I mean, okay, so I know that the same owner owns all those properties. I didn't have the understanding, nor did I see in their permitting history, that the parcels on Benson had been merged with the parcels on Berwick. But either way, I guess we could hash that out when I can add it to the notes and.
Got it. Okay, so it sounds like this one's going to come back to the council. I will include clarification on the voluntary merger. It happened really recently, so I know a lot of our records aren't updated to reflect what the actual lot is. I know the pink property lines are inaccurate, and I'll double check what the project pulls up when you search it on Land Use Viewer. Make sure that's accurate too.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll add that to the notes, which parcels are actually associated with this property and application. So then do you want to, and if you don't, Dane, totally understandable, touch on what Ted Key had brought up and what I feel like.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. Actually, I meant to do that. Mr. Key, thanks for bringing it up. I totally get the sentiment. You want to see a project that's a little more down the line. One of a couple reasons, probably the biggest reason why these early reviews are really helpful is because I can just send the notes right to the property owners, the actual people putting their, money and property on the line, sometimes their dreams, and they come up with these projects. So it's really helpful for your opinion to shed light on your council's opinions while they're still making application changes, while they're still paying their their team to make plan changes, to hire specialists to, you know, look at trees, or geologists to look at landslides, things like that. When they're really putting the money down to make plan changes, it's really helpful to have all your opinions. And the farther down the line you get, the more married to a design an applicant team will get. You know, once you have enough money and time invested into a project, it becomes less important what the neighbors think, unfortunately. And I don't mean that as a roast on this council, but it's just the reality.
Okay, well, that's understandable. And that puts us in in the same slot that we were in with the last project. You know, basically all we can really do then at this point is to say, you know, we're going to add a few of our own, if we have them, issues to the info hold, and then it will come back to us and we'll have a better look at things. But my problem is, you know, as some of the folks here have indicated, enforcement is really minimal. And you know, in the case that I had, it's just astonishing. That's all I can say. So, you know, thank you for answering my question.
Thank you, Ted. Jeff, your hand's still up and you're muted.
Sorry. I'm having trouble with the mute button tonight. Probably for the better. Hey, Dean, can you explain a little bit of how we fit into the permit streamlining? It seems to me that you're using information holds to not cause an application to be deemed complete. That's your workaround for getting the information you need and not triggering an obligation to act on the project. How do we fit into that? Are we just, in other words, if we make these comments, but if we're slow to respond, don't give a response, are we in any way causing the planning department problems with their requirements to process it in a timely manner?
Maybe not directly, but indirectly, when, you know, the locals and the neighbors aren't talking about a project that comes up, and then an approval, then the hearing notice goes out. There's a lot of cause for concern, and it can create a lot of delays for the department in terms of processing appeals and dealing with just, you know, members of the public who may or may not agree with the project or still have questions. So it's really just to get your opinion to the property owners and shed light on your team's opinion, your council's opinion on the administrative record when the hearing body goes to make a decision.
Yeah, but having said that, we can't indefinitely delay a project by just not getting back to you, right?
That's right. And if, you know, if I'm actually managing all three of these projects tonight, just so happens, I would really try not to go to hearing without a recommendation. But if this council, you know, for some reason simply just did not review a project, you couldn't, you know, uphold somebody's land use permit application based on the Streamlining Act.
Which maybe you could explain to the group what the Streamlining Act is. Not the details, just what
essentially, long story short, if you want a new land use or new construction permit, and there's a mandatory amount of time, or there's minimum amounts of time for certain projects that the review agency has to respond with items for correction, in our case, info hold letters, or approve the plans as submitted and proceed through environmental review, or approve the project if it's not subject to it. So it's just basically force timelines on the government so we don't take too long, essentially.
So the consequences of not taking action are that it just is automatically approved, right?
Yeah, essentially, but there's a whole process to it. It's easier than you would think to miss a 30-day review when you're managing a lot. So that's not always quite the case, but it's the right thing to do. Respond within 30 days, and it's also a requirement that causes trouble if you don't adhere to it, I would say.
Yep. Thanks.
Okay. So thank you, Dane. So I'm noting that we want clarification on what parcels are and are not a part of this application. Do I have a motion that we are in agreement in sending forward notes of our questions that we need to properly review this project and make an NCAC recommendation down the road? Do I have a motion from anybody for that? Oh, Jeff Bloom, you're muted. Oh, still.
I'll make the motion to do what you just said.
I know. It just gets late and you're like, just do what she said. Okay, Ted is the second. Yay. Okay, so we're turning and yeah, the tides are turning. See, Dane, we got the energy out. And here we are, a group of grown folks at 7:45, just figuring out the process. Okay, any negatives? No. Okay. Thank you guys for that. So thank you. And please feel free to email me with questions and concerns. For now, Karen, are you ready for a break? And then we'll do CCSD. And oh, Dane has something.
I just
Go ahead.
want to say I'm going to hop off this meeting after
Yes.
land use, but I always appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you for being here and sticking that out with us. Bye.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm ready
You're ready?
for a
Okay.
break.
And you decide how many minutes.
Oh, 5.
Okay, 5 minutes and we'll get through this, you guys. Thank you. All right, Karen, you let me know. Like,
I'm ready.
all right, let's see. Well, Harry, you're up. Yes. Okay, Vice President Farmer, please tell us what you have to share with us.
All right,
Nice
thank
to
you,
see you.
Chair Galloway. It's nice to see you too. So I'll make this relatively short, hopefully. It won't, it's not like a land use item or anything. So first, I want to mention, by the way, we only had one regular business item, but I have a couple of more things I want to address. So first off, to begin the meeting, we had the retirement of engineer Ryan Maloney. He'd been with the district for 26 years, 21 of them in the fire department. Just a really heck of a nice guy. And everybody wished him all the best moving forward in the next chapter of his life. Also, there was an item on the consent agenda, which means we don't vote on it. There was a brief discussion about it. Board director and the Parks and Recreation and Open Space Committee Chairman, Michael Thomas. Right now, they have 2 open seats on this particular committee of 5, and he's chosen not to pursue filling those 2 seats at this moment until the committee itself has received more direction with regard to how to move forward with the proposed community park on the East Ranch. So until we get a little bit more confirmation as to what's going to be happening there, he doesn't feel a need to add on two additional committee members. On the run regular business item that we had, which was regarding the SAFER grant, SAFER meaning staffing for adequate and emergency response. This is regarding needing 3 new staff members on the fire department, firefighters, I should say, additional firefighters for the next 3 years. So the district is obligated over the next, so what happened was we were able to get this grant from Homeland Security, the Department of Homeland Security. So the district is obligated to provide $354,000 over the next 3 years. And Homeland Security is providing $570,000. So what the district voted on is including $77,000 for the current fiscal year to approve this our portion of the funding for fiscal year 2025 and 2026. So I don't know if that was exactly as clear as I wanted it to be. Basically, what the board voted on, as I said, to approve a budget adjustment of $77,000 to allow for the 3 additional firefighters for the next 3 years, or at least for this year. And hats off, by the way, to Fire Department Captain Craig Brooks for applying for and obtaining this grant. And then finally, for folks that might be interested, last week, the Zero Liquid Discharge Pilot Test Project was supposed to be initiated, but it's been held off until next week, beginning October 21st or 22nd. So this pilot project, by the way, doesn't cost the district or the ratepayers of our community any money, and it's going to last about 1 month, weather permitting. I think that's all I have to report. Anybody have any questions, any concerns? I'm sure that I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I'm confident that General Manager McElhaney can add on to what I said to provide even more clarity for what we discussed.
Thank you, Harry. Karen has her hand up, but I do just want to say that your board's discussion about the SAFER grant and the funding was just like, I felt like it was refreshing because everybody had kind of done their research and everybody had a different point of view, and it was just really cool to see that still happen in like government these days. So thank you for that. It was like, I was like very nerdy and excited about just the professionalism and what everybody was doing. So thank you. Karen, you have a question?
Yes, Harry, I just want to ask you to say again when the zero liquid discharge pilot project will start. Is it next week, week after?
Correct. It's tentatively scheduled to begin October 21st or 22nd.
Okay. Thank you.
The next Tuesday or Wednesday. This is according to Utilities Manager Jim Green. And like I said, it's expected to last about a month.
All right, thank you, Harry. I don't see any other hands up for you. Yeah, so you're you're having a good night. There you go.
Yes, but apparently I made a fool of myself in the process. So.
You're amazing. Thank you for the recap. Matthew, do you want to add to that in your report or?
Yeah, I'll just add a couple clarifying points, and Vice President Farmer did a eloquent job of outlining some of the things that we covered in our last board meeting. The SAFER grant, we've traditionally been awarded for several years. I think this is approximately our 4th year of being awarded the SAFER grant. However, the previous SAFER grants that allowed that 3rd and 4th firefighter on the engine were fully covered. This year, it is a cost sharing grant. So what the discussion was before the board was our tolerance as a district to spend those monies out of the general fund reserves to fund that 4th firefighter. We had the 4th firefighter up until July of this year, and that grant ran out. It was not re-awarded in terms of the full funding, and we released those firefighters. And there was some public comment about that. Our department did their due diligence in reapplying for subsequent grants and were awarded this grant, in which it was a cost-sharing grant. And so as Vice President Farmer indicated, we're responsible for 20, let me get this correct. I could be wrong. 25 or 35% of the first 2 years. I think it's 25%. So it's 25, 25, and then the 3rd year is 65%, which totals total commitment of about $350,000 to provide the 4th firefighter on the engine. And so what staff did was bring this forward to the board to have them discuss it. And as Christina mentioned, they did a great job. They're very coherent and discussed all those different opportunities and pitfalls of spending that type of money. And one board member dissented because of their concerns, but it was approved. And now we have this 4th firefighter on the engine, in which will enable us to potentially decrease some of our overtime costs, allow for us to go out of county on strike team assignments, which are reimbursed, not only their salaries, the overtime to backfill them in the fire station, but also equipment costs. And so our hope is to close that gap. Moving on, there was a discussion about pros as Vice President Farmer talked about. And then from a info hold perspective, that's been a big topic tonight. I wanted to let this committee know that preliminarily we got word back on the water reclamation facility. So as you know, there's been an outstanding information hold for quite a few years that myself and my dedicated staff has been working on. And we've been responding to those information holds and working through it for the last year. And today we got some really good news. Director Eric Hughes, who is the manager for county planning and building, let us know in an update that staff completed the review of all of our materials and that our project will be accepted for processing. And it will be that acceptance letter will be sent out here in the next couple days. And what does that mean? They'll move on to the environmental review when it comes to our EIR and SEIR, which is the environmental impact review. And once they make that environmental determination, we'll go to a planning commission hearing. So in layman's terms, our CDP application for the water reclamation facility is moving forward. And once we address those issues, it will go to a planning commission meeting in which they will ask further questions about the project. If the planning commission meeting or planning commission approves our coastal development permit, then it would move forward and become a full CDP. With that said, our anticipation is that it will be appealed to the Board of Supervisors. And Christina had a very timely question to Supervisor Gibson about the recent changes in the appeal process. And because we are in the coastal zone, those fees will be waived, and we will most likely see our project being appealed to the Board of Supervisors, in which, again, we will have to demonstrate all the different facets of the project and its environmental impacts. And our hope is, working through this process, that the Board of Supervisors will approve our coastal development permit for the water reclamation facility in terms of its permanent permitting. And then, in full transparency, we will see it undoubtedly be appealed to the Coastal Commission, if not the Coastal Commission appealing it itself. And I think we've all known that for quite a while. But this is a monumental step forward for the district in terms of the board's direction from a strategic plan standpoint to get the facility permanently permitted. And so that is big news for us. I haven't announced it publicly outside of this meeting because I'm waiting for the official letter from the county. But I will update the community as soon as I get that letter in a community blast out. But that was some big news today. Additionally, we went before the tourism board yesterday in a grant application for the Veterans Hall for Veterans Hall upgrades. And I'm happy to announce that we were awarded $60,000 from the tourism board that matches the $60,000 that we had budgeted for Veterans Hall upgrades. And those upgrades will include flooring, painting, some kitchen upgrades. Excuse me. It'll be a thin budget to do that much work, but we're looking forward. We're looking forward to that. So a couple bright moments for the CCSD this week, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, you have a question from Ted Key. Go ahead.
Hi, Matt. The roof on Vets Hall, I think you've mentioned that before. What ongoing plans do we have for that? I mean, obviously you can't put any solar panels on top of the roof you have because it's, well, not very good. So maybe you can tell me where we're at with that. Thanks.
Yeah, so the roof for the most part is solid. There's a couple areas that need work, and Mr. Geary, our facilities manager, has been working through that piece of it. There's some areas that need to be patched. And then we have our long range CIP list, which addresses the roof. And we're working with our financial planners and long range planners for our long range budgeting for these CIP projects. But as of now, even during the storms and the recent rains, we haven't had any active leaks with the roof. It's something that will need to be addressed in the future, as with every one of our facilities, the fire department, our buildings. But we have it on our list. But as of right now, we're doing okay. But there will need to be repairs to the roof in the future.
I can't tell from Ted's face. Are you satisfied with that answer? Are we?
Well,
good?
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm all about getting solar on every bloody surface we possibly can. So, I mean, that's, and I hope we're looking at that because the cost for electricity, for most people are going through the roof. And, I mean, I would certainly want to encourage CSD to try and mitigate those costs in any way that they possibly can. And so I know that, even with the repairs you're doing on the roof, you probably wouldn't want to put a very expensive solar system on top of that roof, until you actually replace the whole thing. So, I know it's in the hopper. I guess I was just, wondering where in the hopper it is. That's all. Because, a lot of the credits for solar are going to end in December, and that's obviously we're going to miss that, but nothing can be done, I guess, about that. So, I guess we just have to, grin and bear it, and hopefully things will move along quickly so we can address some of these other issues with
Yeah.
solar.
No, these are good points, and I can address some of that. What we want to do with the Veterans Hall is to make it more efficient in the beginning. Right now, it's super inefficient with the heating, ducting, windows, insulation. All those different areas are super inefficient, which is some of our PG&E costs. The other piece of it, in addition to the roof being able to support solar panels, is the ROI, the return on investment for those solar panels, given our current climate in Cambria. And so we've looked at this, and it doesn't pencil out at the moment. That doesn't mean that we're not looking at it. But in terms of the return on investment for solar to really long range net, a net gain for the Veterans Hall is nominal at the moment. However, when we're talking about the climate action plan and some of the direction the district is going in terms of being more green, that may be a decision we move forward with in terms of, well, we want to offset, some of this carbon issue we have with the district. And so that's on our radar. But what we're trying to do is solidify the infrastructure itself first. So when we do look at the solar piece of it, that not only can it be more efficient in terms of heating and cooling and areas like that, then fix the roof, then think about the solar piece. So it's still on our radar. It's on R&I's radar. It's on staff's radar in terms of our climate adaptation goals.
Right.
So it's there. It's there, Ted. I promise you.
Okay, well, it's good. I just want to point out that, as you review this thing, the cost of solar is just dropping like a stone. So, man, every 6 months you might want to just plug in the numbers and see where that ROI comes up, because it's gonna get good soon.
I love how you use my ROI against me. I appreciate that.
I'm not looking to do anything against you, Matthew.
Dropping like a stone. I'm going to steal that from you, Ted. I mean, it's amazing. Thank you. Claudia has her hand up. So want to go ahead, Claudia?
I have an easy addition to your electricity savings is fix all the horrible lights that you have blasting out of the Vets Hall. The worst one shines straight onto the highway and blinds people as they're driving by. And then the other ones are mostly on the opposite side. I guess they'd be on the north or anyway, west side of the building. But, turn those things down. In fact, turn them off. And then just have motion sensors. Then look at all the electricity you could save. I mean, and you could do that pretty quickly with very little money. So please consider doing that. I've asked about 20 times, and I'll ask again publicly, and maybe something will happen about it. But it has been proven that that kind of lighting actually increases crime, the potential for crime, than having lights that are shining towards the ground. So I'm trying to help the community and also save you money.
Yeah, so I can address that. So, at least for the interior of the Vets Hall, we've upgraded all of our lights to LED from your traditional light bulbs. Our staff differs in opinion in terms of some of the issues we've had with crime and having those lights shine around the building. But I understand your point. That's also a minimal cost in terms of what that lighting is. But again, I'll touch bases with David Aguirre and we'll talk about that exterior lighting. But We've had several issues with our unhoused population around the Vets Hall, and we've actually seen a decrease in some of our issues because it's lit, because we have cameras. So we'll work through that piece.
I agree with the cameras. Those are good to catch people, but it's been proven over and over again that that kind of lighting actually makes it easier for the bad guys to do whatever they do. So maybe you've seen a decrease, but you would have even less if you changed the lighting to dark sky lighting, which means you light the ground and not the sky, and you do more even lighting than spotted lighting. So
Well, I'd be super interested in you sharing that research with me, and we'll take a look at it.
Will. Okay, I'll send it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you both. Does anybody have anything else for Matthew, CCSD? I don't see any hands up. Yeah, congratulations on your news from the county and for your contribution from the tourism board for the Vets Hall. You gotta celebrate the little wins. All right, well, thank you for being here. We have Jen's just gonna fill us in on something. Yeah, I'm not skipping over anybody for once. Okay, perfect. Jen, do you want to tell us what's what? And then I have something that Slowcog just emailed me, so I'll
Oh, they did.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
it was a slow cog get together for the county actually. And slow cog is, you know, slow San Luis Obispo County of governments. So yeah, it was a charting a safer course for streets, roads, and paths in SLO County. It was great. It was a great meeting. Lots of people, residents, students, engineers, CHP, Caltrans, and a couple panels got up and talked or, you know, discussed issues. It was good. I'm not going to go into the big details. I didn't honestly, I couldn't stay the whole time because safe driving home all the way to San Simeon from SLO, so at night, and it started kind of late. So, but it was good. The information was amazing. What I learned there was, yeah, they listen to you. However, the progress is slow. You know, the process is slow, the progress is slow to get things moving in the safe direction of, you know, safe roads and safe bike paths and everything. But they do such a great job. They have, you know, that walking tour. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sorry. I've been going since 5 a.m. so I'm sleepy. But yeah, they had one on Main Street in Cambria, and the first thing they did at that meeting, it was like all these different people, right, from everywhere. And they did a poll, an online poll with our cell phones, like where you live, how safe do you feel? And there were like 3 tiers. So I put mostly safe, but it depends on where we are in Cambria, right? So, and San Simeon. But yeah, it was really good. I learned that you guys, we are in an unincorporated area, so of SLO County, and they're on the Public Works website. Maybe some of you already know this, but if you have like a big old pothole in your road, you can make a little like a request for repair, right? So I did that because we have some here in San Simeon, and they wrote back and said, sorry, county does not maintain those roads. You have to work with the homeowners. I'm like, what? There's like hotels. Okay. Anyway, so it was a great meeting. Kermit usually goes. He couldn't attend, so I went for us. And yeah, I'm glad I did. There you go. Any questions?
No, or not. I don't see any hands. I'm just gonna say thank you for going. And it is, yeah, just always interesting. I feel like every meeting I attend, people are like, well, you know, the not realizing that we're unincorporated and it's this whole thing. And so, yeah, what the
Yeah.
county maintains and doesn't maintain is always a treat to
A treat. Yes.
So I'm really glad that you uncovered that. Well, and thank you for going though. That was huge. I know it was late, and yeah,
No,
we
it's
appreciate it. 'Cause I think even, you know, showing up for a bit, it's like at least you're showing up and making sure that people are aware that we exist all the way up here at the end of a important highway. Okay, so I'm gonna fill you guys in Let's see. So Slowcog emailed about the local roads first workshop. They are gonna have, I mean, it depends on like who's actually really interested, considering we don't really know how the funds are gonna be like redistributed. But they are gonna have a workshop at the Morro Bay Vets Hall. I don't know if they have solar or not, Ted, but it's gonna be on October 29th. It's open to the public. Let's see what she said. Invites residents to attend a community workshop to learn more about local roads first, a proposed countywide transportation tax measure, if approved, could be placed on the November 2026 ballot in SLO County. So that's from 6 to 7:30 on October 29th. And she sent me the invite, so I'll include it with Claudia's event in November for the Dark Skies when I send out the YouTube link. Does anybody have anything? I can't like not laugh because I feel like we've all been through something tonight. Are we good? Is that it? Because I think that would be our meeting. Karen, anything? You're good? Everybody's good?
No. I think, my God, what else is there to talk about?
I don't know.
And it's only 8:14.
It feels like it's 8:14 in like 2067. Like I feel like we time traveled and I am like deceased.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being here. We'll try
Thanks,
again next
everyone.
month. And yeah, thank you all, seriously. All right, good night.
Night.
Right.
Bye.
Everybody have a blessed rest of the week.
Bye, you too, Harry. Bye.